Hey guys, it's Simmy, and this is Wrestling Unlimited. As I'm trying to get my notes to load up here in dark mode so it looks good on camera, but for some reason it doesn't want to go. Give me 1 second, guys. Run for visible. Yes, docs on dark mode. Let's go. And I don't know why the stream is lagging either. What the heck's going on? But as far as tonight does go, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. Give me 1 second. Let me reload. Let me close the browser and reload this. For some reason, my notes don't want to open in dark mode. There we go. Because if they don't open in dark mode, I'll show you what happens. So when I put the notes over my prompter, and why is everything so laggy right now? Let me do this. I have the press conference on just to see if anything happens. We'll close that, see if that helps. That helped. But look what happens if, and I talked about this the other day, but if I have my notes on regular, like light mode, my the prompter through the white, for some reason everything turns blue. So we need dark mode, and there we go. Camera looks good. But AEW Revolution, what a show, both good and bad. What a show, both good and bad. Like, what the fuck? I'm just gonna say it right now. Tony Khan has created the Super PWG. That's just what this is. AEW is the Super Indie. When you go to a PWG, you go to a GCW, I don't know, Wrestling Revolve. I think it's what it's called, Wrestling Revolver, something like that, an AIW. Some of their matches may have a story to it, but most of their matches are just matches for matches' sake, and that is what an AEW pay-per-view is. You're going to get, and I didn't watch the pre-show, other than the big Boom AJ match, because that was like 10 minutes before the main card went on. Because, they're racing in Phoenix, well, a NASCAR race. Anyways. But main card had, let me check again, AEW Revolution. Main card had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches on it. And of those 9 matches, 1, 2, 3, I mean, half of them, maybe you could say, had a story to them, but they just felt like, hey, we're going to throw shit at the wall and do shit. Like, we got so much blood in that Tony Storm Mariah May match that when they started bleeding in the cage match with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, I didn't even give 2 damns about the blood. Like, the blood is supposed to make it seem more intense. The blood is supposed to make it seem more just the moment, more hyped up. But it's like, oh, they're bleeding. Tony and Mariah bled more. Okay, cool. That's why, if you saw last week for WWE, they told Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, no blood. Do not bleed, because we're going to have blood in the main event angle with Cody. And if there's blood before that, well, the Cody blood's not going to mean anything. And that's what happened tonight with AEW. There was so much blood in the Tony Storm Mariah May match. The Twitter didn't like it. I posted 2 pictures of Tony Storm bleeding, like covered in blood, and it goes, oh, one of your tweets has been flagged for sensitivity. I'm like, which one? Click it. Oh, it's that Tony Storm one. So Tony bled too much for Twitter. But what I'm trying to get at is, you got to portion things out. You can't just do some of the same things in the same matches and hope that it all just gets over. Because it doesn't. You have so much blood. If they just would have bled a little bit in the Mariah May Tony Storm match, then the blood would have meant something, even just a little bit of something in the Fletcher Ospreay match. But because Tony was just drenched in blood, Mariah's whole face covered in blood, you get to this other match and it's like, oh, Will's face is pretty covered. Kyle's bleeding, but none of that matters because I already saw blood. It's whatever. I already saw all these weapons. Mark Davis is in the ring bleeding too? What the fuck? So that's my one big thing. It's like, hey, you already used a lot of blood, so we don't need more blood. And I'm not trying to be sensitive or say, oh, because I know someone's going to come here, hey, you little pussy, you don't like blood? No, it's not that. It's knowing the moments and what things are used for and not to overdo it to then make them later not be useful. Like, I'm not saying don't use weapons in the cage match, but the way they got the weapons in there sucked. We saw so many weapons somewhat used in the street fight. But then when you have a cage match that's supposed to lock people out, when you have a guy come down with bolt cutters to get in, no problem, and the ref's just looking at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Literally, what's his fucking name? The referee, like one of their main referees. He's just like, Mark Davis walks up the steps, grabs the bolt cutters. He's starting to get it in the right spot. And the ref's just looking at him going like this. Hey, not even telling him to stop or anything. He's just looking at him like, I see you. What are you doing? Excuse me. And it's like, no, he's not supposed to get in there or try to get in there. Ref, stop him. What is the need for a ref on the outside if the ref is not going to be there to try and stop somebody from getting in? That's what the ref on the outside is for. In AEW, that is. I had to think for a second because I want to say that this match was pinfall or submission only. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. It wasn't even hey, climb out and you win. Because yes, if it's a climb out and you win, then the ref on the outside is there to make sure if both climb at the same time, whose feet hits first. But I'm pretty sure in AEW, cage matches are pinfall and submission only. No escape to win. And so when that's the case, the ref on the outside is supposed to be there only for the sole purpose of getting people to not enter the goddamn cage, not open the door. What the hell's the reason of the lock? If someone's just going to come down with cutters and break it off anyways. Like, it's not like you got a Mark Henry that's going to come down. I mean, you got Powerhouse Hobbs. But it's not like you have someone in this storyline that's going to come down and rip the door off. That'd be a completely different story. If someone just ripped the door off because they're so strong. No, this guy literally came down with bolt cutters and just, blink. All right, hey, here's a bag full of shit. Barbed wire, what's the word I'm looking for? Bat, thumbtacks and whatnot. Fonzie says, yeah, it was. It was Escape the Cage, because I didn't hear them say anything about Escape the Cage. Because like when they were climbing up to the top of the cage, they didn't say anything about whoever gets out first. At least I didn't hear them say anything about whoever can get out first wins. They just kept saying, what are they doing up there? What are they doing up there? So that to me makes it sound like it's not Escape the Cage to win. If when they're scaling the cage and going to the top, when all commentary is worried about is what are they doing up there? Oh my God, they're up there and it's high. To me, that sounds like hey, this isn't an Escape the Cage to win kind of match. But I just don't know. I don't know. And also, that match did not need to go goddamn 29 minutes. It would have been perfectly fine at about 18 to 20, if that. Because I started losing interest at about 15 to 16 minutes in. But that match went 29 minutes, and it felt long. Literally, the match ends, and I go, how long is this match? Because that felt like 40 minutes. So then I waited for Wikipedia to update, and Wikipedia says 29 on the dot. And I'm just like, woof. That match felt so long. I'm sitting here just going, is this match over yet? Is this match over yet? They met Hangman and MJF, in my opinion, was my favorite match of the night. I thought they did a really good job in that match. Mercedes Momo Watanabe was just there. Swerve and Ricochet did have a really good match. Okada and Brody King was just another 10-minute Okada match. Nothing special. Hurt Syndicate and Outrunners, another match that went way longer than it needed to. 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Why the fuck did the Outrunners get so much in this match? This should have been a 5-minute match at most with the goddamn Hurt Syndicate beating their asses and pinning them quick. Maybe with one comeback, and that's it. Nope. And the Kenny Omega Takeshita also really, really good. You can argue that may have been the best match of the night. Kenny Omega and Takeshita or Hangman and MJF. But that also, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, had the trope of I felt like it overstayed its welcome and went maybe just 5 minutes too long. That one was 28 and a half. If you would have cut that match at like 2025, it would have been perfect. And I probably would have said match of the night. Then we had Hangman and MJF win by 19. I thought that match was great. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We got, again, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches on the main card. We had 3 on the pre-show that I only saw part of the main event match. Well, most of the main event of the pre-show. Didn't see anything. I'm like, watching this match, like, we got 1 match left. And I said, where the fuck's that Jericho Gravity match? And so I go back and see that Jericho pulled Gravity's mask off during the pre-show and they just didn't do the match or whatever, I guess. Oh. So, yeah. I didn't even see any of that. But, Copa Mox, match sucked. Well, I'm just going to say that right now. The match itself sucked, and it only got worse and worse and worse as it went on. This may have been one of the worst main events to any AEW show I've ever seen, and one of the worst main events to any wrestling show I've seen in I don't know how long. The match was slow and boring. It was Moxley just beating his ass the whole time. The crowd was dead. Freaking, what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue. What is the guy's name? Ryan Satin was there. And I'm going to read you a tweet from him live from the building. He said, the crowd is pretty silent for the main event. Feels like this was a tough match to follow the cage match. Majority seems to be just waiting for the finish. Then he comes back and is like, sure, with another tweet. When I think that was right when Christian was cashing in. Like, it's now a triple threat. So, yeah. Overall, like, if you're just here to watch a bunch of cool matches, then it was a really, really, really good show with a lot of good matches. Well, a good amount of good matches. But if you're here for storylines and building stuff for the future, what did we really build? Swerve's the number one contender. Literally, that's it. No other match did anything to build towards anything past tonight. Like, nothing. MJF and Hangman. Hangman wins, now what? Swerve Strickland and Ricochet. At least that was a number one contenders match. Swerve is now the number one contender to the world title. Okada and Brody King. Oh, okay, Okada retained yet a fucking again. Hurt Syndicate. Yeah, everyone knew they were going to retain. Beat the Outrunners. Tony Storm and Mariah May had a pretty good match, but that's over. Now, I get that one not having anything because it's the end of a trilogy feud. Okay, cool, whatever. Better give me something on Wednesday or who's next for Tony Storm. Omega Takeshita. Good match. Kenny's the champ. Okay. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. Will wins. We've seen Will beat Kyle before, and Kyle keeps going, I want another match. I want another match. So it's like, what, is Kyle going to cry and say, I want another match again? And then John Moxley and Cope with Christian. Like, fucking sucked. Christian cashed in this thing, and it fucking sucked. So, even the angle at the end with Swerve jumping off the balcony, it sucked because the way it was shot. It was shot from the floor, looking up the whole time. Right. He jumped. Well, Nana comes out first. Security comes out there. Swerve then jumps off. Security's only out there to catch him. He literally lands Swerve stomp, I guess you would say, whatever it's called. He's two-foot stomp onto Mox. And then the camera's still down and up in freaking Swerve's face for the rest of this. And I'm just like, excuse me, what are we doing here? So, yep. I don't know. But with all of that, I want to say thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, you can help us out over on YouTube. Help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos. That way you know when we go live. And that way you know when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, hit the join button to support us that way as a channel member. As a channel member, you get emotes and emojis you can use in the live chat. You get, access to our graphics tutorials, our graphics packages, our watch-alongs, and our Q&As. Also, remember, you can get all that as well at patreon.com/PW Unlimited. Remember, also, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PW Unlimited at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Maybe you're getting into that brand new game, Split Fiction. Maybe you want Grand Theft Auto 5 Enhanced Edition. Or you're just getting that new season of Fortnite because you're like me and haven't jumped in yet. Use our code PWU NLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases, whether that's on your PlayStation, your Xbox, your Nintendo Switch, your phone, your tablet, or your PC. But with all of that, like I said, I didn't really watch the pre-show. We do know that on the pre-show, Commander and Hologram defeated the team of Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. Daniel Garcia and the Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly defeated Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo, Lee Moriarty, and Captain Sean Dean, which I didn't even know Carly Bravo and Captain Sean Dean were part of Shane Taylor Promotions because that's a goddamn ROH thing, and I don't watch ROH, so it's like, why are we supposed to care? Why is Daniel Garcia teaming with the Undisputed Kingdom against ROH guys? Daniel Garcia is your motherfucking TNT champion, and he's a pre-show freaking bottom of the barrel ringer. Teaming with randos that we don't teaming with a random team against guys we don't even see. Literally almost ever. Like, what are we doing here? Drop this fucking title. What we need to do is get rid of the international title. Put the TNT title back into prominence, and there we go. I'm just gonna say it, and I'm not blaming Daniel Garcia because it's the booking. It's not Daniel Garcia, it's the booking. But him as the TNT champion has been the drizzling shits. I'm just gonna say it, drizzling shits, the dirt worst. How many times has he even defended the dang thing? Daniel Garcia cage match. How many times has he even defended it? I know he did the Adam Cole, man. The Adam Cole defense. He defended against Adam Cole and last week against Lee Moriarty. I didn't watch that collision. You want me to be completely honest? I didn't watch that collision because it was up against AEW or WWE. Plus, I didn't even know about that match. When was that match even announced? It wasn't announced on damn. Wasn't announced on. What's the word I'm looking for? Dynamite. Fonzie, I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, like he's defended the title 3 times. It's all collision stuff. Okay, way more than I thought. But it's like we never see anything. Like, when do these matches ever get announced? Because I didn't know about any of these matches other than the Adam Cole match because they actually set it up on Dynamite. He's defended against, and that match went to a no contest, to be honest. Well, that's shitty anyways. Defending against Lee Moriarty. He defended against Jay Lethal. He defended against, and that was on the Jericho Cruise, so that almost doesn't even count. He defended against Kyle O'Reilly and Lee Moriarty. Lee Moriarty again. And then Mark Briscoe. And I think that's it. Oh, Jack Perry. No, he got the title. He won the title from Jack Perry, end of November. So it's like, title reign has been kind of just meh, random. It hasn't meant anything. So, yeah, not that good. Then we got the boom match. Freaking Orange Cassidy comes out with the Rizzler. My son walks in, sees it, and goes, yeah, nope, bye. Goes plays WWE 2K25. Like the Costco guys and the Rizzler are supposed to be bringing in the younger generation, turning him off. 13 years old. He's their demo. Their demographic is like 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Yet a 13-year-old sees them on screen and says, yeah, nope, I'm done, bye, and leaves. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So as far as the show does go, let me... the show does open up, main card that is, with, and why are my notes frozen? Thank you, Google Docs, for freezing. Here we go. Okay. Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, and MJF open up the show. This is a good opener. Hot, good match. Excalibur kind of, I don't know what the hell he was talking about. He was like, earlier today, MJF got taken off the streets of Sacramento. And I'm like, you're not in Sacramento. Sacramento's like 6 hours north, 8 hours north, depending on which route you take. What are you fucking talking about, guy? Anyways. So they both slug it out immediately, with Page getting the better of it in the upper hand. MJF wrenched the arm and posed. This allowed a brief sleeper from Page, which MJF escaped with a jawbreaker. MJF did the signature running into the ropes and pelvic thrust into the face, as this did fire up Page. MJF spat in the face of Page and got an eye poke. Page clobbered him with a springboard lariat to the back on the apron. Followed this up with a slingshot dive. Page then wanted a buckshot, but MJF collapsed to the outside to avoid it. Page then met him with a huge moonsault off the post to the floor. Back inside the ring, MJF dodged a buckshot, hit a thrust kick in the corner, water wheel drop, and a wrist clutch DDT for a 2. Both traded small package counters as MJF escaped Deadeye. Tried a pile driver, which Page immediately countered into a Deadeye for a 2. There's a knee lift between the ropes, but by MJF, who wanted a heat seeker. Page escaped and hit a buckshot, but MJF got his feet on the ropes. MJF then stumbled to his feet and spat again, so Page decked him with a right hand. Page wanted another buckshot, but for a third time, MJF rolled to the outside. Page stalked him down, but missed a charge and ran into the steps. Page tried shaking out the arm as he rolled MJF back inside. Fourth buckshot attempt, but this time MJF countered into a salt of the earth transition into a crossface, then reversed into an arm breaker. Page then finally got to the foot on the ropes to break it all as they went to the outside yet again, where MJF ripped Tony Schiavone's headset off, called Page a 0, and dropped some F-bombs on commentary for good measure. The delay allowed Page, though, to try a tombstone on the floor, but the arm kind of gave out, not allowing it, so he did a moonsault off the apron into the position, but MJF floated over and hit a tombstone on a set-up steel chair as doctors tended to Page, who just broke the count at 9. And I'm like, he just tombstoned him on a chair. How's that not a DQ, ref? Ref's just in the ring watching all this. Like, come on. MJF has almost tears in his eyes as he screams, "What's so special about you?" He says, "Why not me?" Heat seeker attempt was countered as Page walked his way into the ring for a Deadeye in a cool looking spot here as he follows with a violent angel's wings, an homage to Christopher Daniels. That was cool. Page skinned the cat in position as MJF stumbled to his feet and Page hit a buckshot. Clean for the victory. Like clean buckshot and just 1, 2, 3, nothing. Boom, pinned MJF. Like, whoa, right in the middle. Pinned MJF right in the middle. No problem with that buckshot. So I did like the way that they teased the buckshot. He went for it one time, missed it. One time, counter. Another time, missed it. Another time, missed it. Counter, missed it. Counter. And then finally, on like the 5th attempt, he finally hits it. And that's the death blow. So you're thinking here, oh man, if he could have hit it earlier, he could have ended earlier. But no, MJF was just knew enough because they had, met before. He knew just enough how to escape or counter or get away from that move. But in the end, he just couldn't do it. So I liked the way that this built to the buckshot. Multiple attempts, and then we finally, boom, hit the move and win. Moving forward, we had our first title match of the night as Mercedes Moné defending the TBS Championship against Momo Watanabe. And I'm like, okay, these two didn't have a bad match, but nobody cared about this match. At one point, there were, "We want Momo CEO" chants. There was that. "We want Momo CEO. We want Momo CEO." But it was like, they just did it, it felt like. And it seemed like they did it for any specific reason. Nigel McGuinness also replaced Taz for no reason on commentary. So, yeah. Early on, Watanabe was having none of Mercedes dancing. And she got a snapmare in, faked a kick, and then just patted Monet on the head. There was a shoving contest that led to Monet hitting a shoulder tackle, but danced too much again, and Watanabe hit a series of kicks. There was an overhand swipe from Monet, who scaled the ropes, tried an arm drag, but Watanabe sank in a crossface chicken wing. Both traded pin attempts until Watanabe punt kicked Monet's arm before delivering a high kick for a 2. At one point, they fall to the floor. Watanabe wanted a crunchy roll, and Monet countered into a powerbomb off the apron. Back inside the ring, Monet went for a Meteora and got a 2 off of it. As we see Billy Starks watching for one of the boxes up above, and I'm like, gee, what, huh? We're gonna put Billy Starks on the show now? But Athena's just locked in purgatory down there in ROH. The best fucking woman you have, better than all of them, better than Mercedes, maybe better than Tony and Mariah, but if not better, on their level. And you've got her locked down in ROH. When you got the ROH champion, no matter who it is, always on AEW television, but you can't fucking put Athena on AEW television? Like, so dumb. So dumb. And now you got Billy Starks, her minion, who now looks more important and a bigger deal than Athena, the ROH champion. Because now she's essentially, if you want to think of it in WWE terms, come to the main roster and wants to challenge for a belt. So it's like, you've got one of the best, like, character-driven females and also in-ring working females, and you're not doing anything with her on the main show to even drive eyes back to ROH with her, like you tried to do with Jericho, like you tried to do with Mark Briscoe when he was the champion, or whoever else has been ROH champion that is then on AEW programming most weeks. That's what you need to be doing. Have these really good champions, interesting champions, put them on Dynamite, put them on Collision, and get them to drive views to ROH. I mean, shit, you got an ROH champion that's never even on ROH, to be honest. But it's just seeing Billy Starks here watching this match because she's going to want to go after Mercedes makes her feel like a bigger deal than Athena. And the whole story there is she's Athena's protege. She's the minion learning under Athena. So is the minion now graduated to above the teacher? Just saying. Anywho, Monet wanted a Monet maker, but Watanabe rolled through into a crunchy for a 2. Monet was able to recover and hit 2 of the 3 amigos until Watanabe put the brakes on it, hit 2 of her own before trapping Monet in a tree of woe, just wearing her out with kicks and kicks and kicks. Watanabe exploded with a drop kick into the corner for a 2 before doing the CEO dance. At one point, they started trading blows again as Monet hit a backstabber and a meteor off the second rope for a near fall, leaving Monet furious. Watanabe dodged another meteor with a series of knee lifts on the apron as Watanabe went to the second and nailed a meteor of her own off the edge of the ring for a close 2. Let's go back inside. Both ladies are trading crossface and chicken wing attempts and whatnot. There was a power bomb from Monet that got a 2. Then she took way too much time. Monet tried to go to the top, but was cut off with an avalanche spinning Uranagi for a 2. At one point, Watanabe got the buzzsaw kick in, but Monet just barely got her shoulder up on the count. Watanabe then went up top and missed a Meteora, allowing Monet to hit a crossbody for a 2. Monet then connected with a Monet maker, one of the better ones that she's ever done, spun it into a statement maker, and submitted her to pick up the victory and retain the TBS championship. So there we go. Winner, winner. Of course, no one expected any different. Mercedes Moné. This then led to the number 1 contenders match. Winner becomes number 1 contender for the AEW World Title for Strickland and Ricochet. Really good match. Hell of a battle between these two. And there was more than just the number 1 contendership on the line. It was the embassy robe as well. Ricochet wore the embassy robe out. Remember on Dynamite when they were like, where's the robe? He's like, it's getting some modifications. Well, he had his Ricochet logo put on the robe. And no one told me my camera was frozen. There we go. Wonder how long that was frozen. That was a weird shot of me too, with my mouth open. Anyways. Where were we? Ricochet came out wearing the robe, like I said. Lightning quick start as each of them. Actually, let me see. Hold on. I wasn't frozen for that long. It didn't seem like I was frozen for that long. Anyways, where was I? Lightning quick start as each went for their home run shots early on until Strickland mowed down Ricochet, who took a quick powder. Back inside the ring, Strickland caught Ricochet in a reverse torture rack rib breaker before paintbrushing Ricochet repeatedly in the corner. Strickland slowly stalked Ricochet down, but was pulled into the corner, allowing Ricochet to mock Prince Nana with a robe. Strickland was having none of it, though, as he was relentless in attacking Ricochet outside, and Nana tried to calm him down. Strickland shoved Nana down, not realizing that he actually pushed Nana by accident. The distraction, though, allowed Ricochet to walk the barricade in a huge house call before a springboard lariat back in the ring, followed by a lion salt for a 2. Nana opted to bail on the match at this point, as Ricochet waved bye-bye, and Strickland couldn't believe it. Ricochet then talked trash to SNL alum Leslie Jones, who was yelling for Swerve, "Swerve, get up, let's go, Swerve!" a bunch of times in this match. It was kind of cool. McGinnis thought it was Prince Nana's mother. He's like, "What was that? Prince Nana's mom? Her mother?" Excalibur had to inform him exactly who that was. And I'm like, I know this lady. I'm like, I think she's from SNL, but I don't know I don't know her name. And then he said it. I'm like, okay, cool. Yep, Leslie Jones. I didn't know her name, but I'm like, I've seen her on SNL. I'm pretty sure she's from SNL. And then they told us. So that was cool. Because a lot of times you see like these celebrities, and half the time they're like, "That's so-and-so." It's like, okay, but how am I supposed to know them? Or where are they from? At least they said it. So here, Ricochet was taking too long in the corner. Strickland cut Ricochet off. Both teetered on the top. Ricochet did a springboard dragon Rana, only for Strickland to roll through into a powerbomb and a powerbomb into a power slam for a 2 in a great sequence. Both went to the apron and traded kicks until Ricochet managed to poison Rana on the edge of the ring, and luckily he had more success than Hologram apparently earlier in the night, because they even said that. They're like, "Oh, Hologram tried that and it didn't go too well for him earlier." Ricochet then brought Strickland up for a Spanish fly on the announce table, but couldn't get Strickland up, allowing Strickland to hit an amazing vertebreaker on the table, which, well, we're reminded by Excalibur is a solid oak table, and that's why it didn't break. These are new tables. Back in the ring, Strickland hit the swerve stomp, and Ricochet kicked out. At one point, Ricochet put on the robe. Ricochet hit a suicide dive after Nana had come back out, wiping Nana out, and he ended up taking it and putting the robe on himself. Strickland then tried to dive, but Ricochet hit a Death Valley driver in midair, which looked really cool. Ricochet got in the face of Ken Jeong, another celebrity sighting here, who also was seated ringside next to, well, Stingray. Paul Walter Hauser. MLW's Paul Walter Hauser, I may add. But Cobra Kai Stingray. He was also in that couponing movie with Kristen Bell. And he shoehorned some AEW into that movie as well. Back inside, still wearing the robe, Ricochet hit the vertebreaker, but again, Strickland kicked out. Loading up, Ricochet wanted the spirit gun, but Nana pulled at the robe and wrestled with Ricochet over it. Strickland got a roll up and got a 2 off of it, but was sent into Nana, crashing into him on the outside. Ricochet nearly stole a pin here, but Strickland popped up, hit 2 house calls, and a big pressure to pick up the victory. So there we go. Swerve Strickland does win and is now the new #1 contender for the AEW World title. No clue when he's going to get that title shot or how long they're going to stretch this out. We do have Dynasty coming up in April, I want to say. So maybe he challenges at that pay-per-view. Dynasty. But everyone's like, oh, Swerve going to be the one to get the title off of Mox? Swerve going to be... No, I don't think it is. I think the person that's going to take the title off of Mox has got to be an original, an AEW original. Whether that's MJF, whether that's Hangman, whether that's Darby. It's got to be. Got to be one of those kind of guys. Post-match, Strickland gained possession of the robe and dropped to a knee and presented it to Prince Nana. Both of them, this was funny. Both of them hugged, right? And Swerve's like selling this like he's just gassed, totally out of energy. And Nana takes the robe, they hug, and then Nana just... And Swerve just like falls to his knees like, oh shit, I can't hold myself up right now. Funny as shit. Funny as hell. So we move forward. Continental title on the line. Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King. Okay. It was a good back and forth battle, but it was not even half as good as the previous match before it. And it mattered for nothing. It was just one of these Okada AEW matches where he's half-assing shit and it doesn't matter. Why is this title a thing? Oh, because of the tournament. No, we don't need this title. This is the title you really need to get rid of. This is the title you really need to freaking get rid of. the Continental title. We can still do the Continental Classic, but I think the Continental Classic should get you a title shot at what's the March pay-per-view? Well, the one we just watched, Revolution. I'm dumb shit. I say you win the Continental Classic, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, boom, you're in the main event challenging for the title at Revolution. That's what I think the Continental Classic should be used for. Not this stupid-ass Continental title that means absolutely nothing. I mean, originally it was supposed to be the Triple Crown, and that didn't last long. There were some mind games from Okada early on as he barked at Brody King, foolishly tried to body slam, and he couldn't really get him up. But King hit one of his own on Okada, took a powder, and King was out after. He fired off some chops, popped Okada with a stiff forearm, set him up on a chair against the barricade, but missed the charge, allowing Okada to DDT him. Back inside the ring, there was a forearm in bunches from Okada, but King responded with more chops, turning Okada's chest bright red. There was a corner charge from King that missed, allowing Okada to hit his body slam. But it took too long. And it took too long to try and go for his top rope elbow, and King cut him off with a massive superplex. At one point, King wanted to go for a pile driver on the apron, but Okada got a backdrop on him, followed with a shotgun drop kick against the barricade. Okada tossed a chair into the ring, but it was a diversion as Rick Knox took it away, allowing Okada to level King with a Continental title instead, with the referee distracted. At least they did something to distract the goddamn ref. Thank you, Kazuchika Okada. He only got 2 off this, though. Okada wanted to go for the Rainmaker, but King, again, hit a big-time lariat of his own. Okada avoided a Gonzo bomb. King hit a gnarly headbutt corner splash, and then Okada fired up with a signature drop kick, Rainmaker, and pinned him to retain the title. So there we go. Okada is still your Continental Champion. Not a bad match. I couldn't say that anything was wrong with this match. It just wasn't even half as good as the match before it, and we know like the Continental title means nothing. So another nothing happening match, or a match that didn't matter for jack shit. The Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners. Nigel McGuinness said, if the Outrunners win this match tonight and become the champions, you know what, Shivani? Next week on commentary, I'll do the whole thing in my underwear. Shivani's like, I don't want new champs. No. I was like, damn. So they showed Action Andretti and Lio Rush watching from the side, and I'm just like, no, they're not. No, they're not teasing Action Andretti and Lio Rush to go for these tag titles. Geeker of geeks than the Outrunners. More geekier than the Outrunners. Losers of losers. Lamer than lame. Another squash team. They're probably not going to get squashed. They're going to go 50-50 with them like they do with the Outrunners, and they shouldn't have, and this is bullshit. This tells you that AEW has a tag team problem. We're the fucking Young Bucks. Why aren't Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly going for the tag titles? Or Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong? Or where's the goddamn Kingdom? Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. Let those blokes, even though they don't do jack shit, go for the tag titles. Like, come on. Action Andretti and Lio Rush with their big puffy spike jackets? Yeah. No. Thank you. The Truth Magnum and Shelton Benjamin started things off with Benjamin no-selling his offense early, and I'm like, oh, yep, that's where this is going. Floyd then tagged in and decked Benjamin with the right hand. Benjamin avoided a roll-up, missed a blind tag, and was clotheslined to the floor. Lashley got his grips on Floyd, but Magnum sent him crashing to the outside as well, forcing MVP to regroup his team. This fired up Benjamin and Lashley, who came into the ring and completely wrecked the opponents. Just beat down the Outrunners. Magnum was repeatedly sent between barricade to edge of the ring, as Benjamin was just having his way with them. Hit him with multiple German suplexes. Magnum tried to float over, but was caught and driven down by Bobby Lashley with the power slam for a 2. And I'm like, oh my God, this ain't the end. Please just give him the goddamn spine buster Dominator and pin him, because this is it. We don't need no more than this. But they kept going, and the goddamn Outrunners started getting offense. Nigel jokes about asking if Magnum was named after a condom, and Magnum didn't know what that was. There was a hot tag made to Floyd, who dodged a knee lift from Benjamin, hit a body slam as Lashley was clocked by Magnum. Double Predator elbow by Magnum and Floyd as they got a pop and posed, but Lashley recovered and steamrolled both. Lashley then tried a suplex on the stage, but Magnum sent him crashing into Benjamin. Benjamin then fired off some right hands, but Floyd started firing up, no selling, and battling back. Floyd walked to the top rope into an arm drag, but Benjamin popped up and decked Floyd with the right hand. Lashley then back in with Magnum, who he planted with a spine buster. Benjamin hit a pop-up knee. Lashley hit a spear, and then they repeated the sequence on Floyd, make sure he was down before they pinned him and picked up the victory. So there we go. Hurt Syndicate retained the titles. Whoop-a-de-doo. This meant nothing. Absolutely jack shit nothing. Then we got the crazy match. Toni Storm, Mariah May. This is the match where I'm like, this is going to be good. And it started good. And it was going good. And then it turned into a garbage match. But not in like the worst of ways. Not in the worst of ways, though. I will say that. But it started going off the rails eventually. I will say that. So Jim Ross joined commentary for this match. Because there was a setup on stage, a couple tables, and some like posters or whatever. And so there's a picture of, I think, May turning on Storm after winning the Owen Cup last year. May is wearing a white veil. She's kind of dressed-ish like Trish Stratus from the Lita wedding. And she comes out, and Toni wastes no time. She bull rushes her from the stage, and they start fighting up there during her entrance. She spat on Luther for good measure. Then she goes and gives Luther this big front drop kick and just lands splat hard on her back, and she's selling it so well that I thought she fucked herself up. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But she sold this so well that I thought she freaking threw her back out or something. That she messed up her spine. But she splatted. I don't know what the heck's supposed to happen with Luther, but he just bumped over the table. Table flew over. And then, like, he's actually kind of perfect. It had a tablecloth on it. The top of the tablecloth at AEW. And when the table flipped over, instead of the tablecloth rolling with it and falling, the tablecloth fell forward as the table fell back. And there's the AEW logos draped right there perfectly. I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Anyways, hard slap from May, who wanted a suplex on the stage. Storm tried a backdrop, but May instead opted for a pile driver on the stage. May grabbed some flowers, pulled out a taser. So this is before the Luther spot. She pulls out the taser, and Luther goes, "You can't use that." And that's when she teases hitting Luther with the taser, drop kicks him, launches him over the table, this, that, and so forth. That's where I'm like, oh shit, she just hurt her back. Then she goes over to Toni Storm. Toni Storm grabs her in like the sky high position, picks her up, throws her. They jump off the stage and they go through two tables next to the stage. It's only a 2 count. Remember, this match is no rules, false count anywhere, whatever you want. Then they fight in ringside, where May tried scurrying away, but Storm swept the leg out on the barricade and hit a draping DDT off of it. Storm missed a hip attack against the barricade, allowing May to hit a Storm Zero on the steps, busting Toni Storm open and busting her open bad. Like, Toni was bloody by the end of this. Again, like I said earlier, so bloody that Twitter put a sensitivity warning on the photos. So May tossed chains and chairs into the ring before rubbing her veil on Storm's bloody body. In the ring, Storm was trapped in the Tree of Woe and a chair put against her face. May had a sweet cheek music and got a 2 off of it. Storm was able to reverse a German suplex, sending May to the floor as both ladies grabbed buckets. The buckets had shards of glass and champagne bottles in them. Toni Storm then grabbed tape and started taping her hand, but with the sticky side out. Mariah May then was supposed to do the same, and I don't know if this was legit or a shoot or what, but Mariah looked scared shitless. I don't know if she was actually scared of the glass and Toni punching her with the glass, but Mariah looked so scared that, I mean, I think it was legit shoot scared. It was like she's taping her hand and she's like, oh shit. Like she's like trying to put her hand in the bucket of glass and she's like not wanting to. And she's like, like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but it's the spot. Like, if she was just selling and that was all just her acting, goddamn, you got me. So where was I? They put the tape on their hands with the glass, and commentary's like, we've never seen this before. And I'm like, I know I've seen this somewhere. I've seen this before. I just don't remember where. I know we've seen this in wrestling before. put the tape on the back side, the wrong side, and then you hand in the glass, and yeah. Anyways, Storm decks May with a shot, busting Mariah wide open as Storm poured glass all around the ring from both of the buckets. She then took one of the bottles and hit Mariah in the forehead with it, kind of like raking at it. Storm then went for a big kick, but May smashed a bottle between the legs of Storm for a wild reaction from the crowd. They fight up the ropes at one point where May bit at a bloody head of Toni Storm and then hit a head scissors onto the glass before following it up with a Mayday for a 2. And we get an incredible overhead shot of Toni Storm laying there, just motionless, dead, her body covered in blood. I'm like, oh my God. May then tried lifting Storm up, but was met with a snap Storm Zero by Storm, who went to ringside to unveil the bloody shoe. And this took forever because she couldn't find it. She goes to the timekeeper's area and she's like, looking. And she goes over to commentary, like, where is it? And then finally she goes, oh, it's in front of the timekeeper's area. Okay. She reveals the shoe, grabs the shoe, but seemed to have brief pity for Mariah May, not wanting to use it at first, and May hit a Mayday on the stage for a 2. Crowd was on fire at this point as both ladies got up and gave a table that read a Hollywood ending on it as Storm got control of the shoe and repeatedly smashed May in the head with it before hitting a Storm Zero through the table to win in an amazing war. Like, the match was good, real good, but I just felt like it eventually just, once they pulled the glass out, I'm like, okay, now we're going a little too far. Now we're going a little too, we want death match, fucking style matchy. So it's like, I just felt like they may have just went a little too far here. Yeah, Toni Storm is still the champion, and no kind of tease on who's next for her. Or what they do now with Mariah. Because that's the big thing. Mariah May and Toni Storm are probably your 2 most popular wrestlers. Some can say maybe Swerve is a little more popular. But Toni Storm and Mariah May are right up there as like top 3 of their most popular, everyone wants to see wrestlers. And it's like, we need to know what's next for Mariah. Because I hope they don't just like have Mariah doing nothing or very little for a while. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I got a weird itch all of a sudden. Anyways, this led to Konosuke Takeshita defending the AEW International Championship against Kenny Omega. Hell of a match. All the hype videos and build for this has been really good. They played up the diverticulitis, saying that if Kenny gets hit too many times in the gut, it can really be bad for him. And None Callis is on commentary. Caliber mentioned how influential wrestlers like Omega and El Generico were to Takeshita growing up. I'm like, oh, a Sami Zayn reference. Omega started off hot, but was ultimately cut off with a massive Takeshita line. Omega answered with a suplex and a corner splash, leading to a slingshot splash to the outside. Takeshita slammed Omega against the apron and the barricade as Callis got in a cheap shot on the announce table. Hey, ref, I literally see you watching. Why don't you do anything about this? Interference. But then Kenny wouldn't have won, so yeah, whatever. Takeshita remained in control as he got him back into the ring. Omega tried a crossbody off the top, but no water in the pool as Takeshita zoned in on the abdomen. There was an exploder that connected as Takeshita set up a table at ringside. And they're like, literally in commentary, they go, why is Takeshita setting up a table? This is not a no DQ match. Like, if he uses that table, he can get himself DQ'd. And it's like, okay. But then he still keeps the belt. So he looked for a blue thunderbomb off the apron, but Omega answered with a running face palm slam on the apron. Omega wanted the you can't escape on the floor. He hit the rolling fireman's carry part, but delayed too long for the moonsault, and Takeshita launched Omega into the railing. Takeshita then kept Omega grounded inside the ring, but Omega clapped the ears and successfully hit a crossbody off the second, firing off a couple of strikes as well. Omega connected with a you can escape for a 2, but Omega clutched at his midsection, really selling the pain. Omega snapped off a Hurricane Rana, sending Takeshita to the floor, allowing Omega to signal for the Terminator dive, but was tripped by Callis. Distraction allowed Takeshita to fly in with a clothesline over the top before hitting a released German on the floor. Takeshita flipped the table over and hit a front face suplex on it and turned it on its side and did the same thing, dropping Kenny gut first, abdomen first on the table. And I'm like, hey, ref, he's using a foreign object. Yeah, he didn't put him through the table, but he's still using a goddamn table that he set up. It's not the announce table. That'd be a different story. Come on, ref. What the fuck are we doing here? The AEW refs suck. Alternative then goes and checks on Omega, who's laying up draped over the table. I'm like, you know he was just slammed on the table. What are you going to do about it? Oh, that's right. Nothing. That's why these fucking heels cheat so much, because they know they're going to get away with it. This delay then led to Takeshita trying another, but Omega got the knees up. And then I'm talking about a senton. I forgot to say that. Takeshita then missed another senton off the second rope. Omega fired up and dodged the Takeshita line and hit a snapdragon suplex, but as he went forward again, Takeshita escaped, faked a high punch, then connected with a punch to the midsection. Takeshita went to charge, but Omega fired off a V-trigger flush for a near fall. Omega signaled for another, but Takeshita countered into a blue thunder bomb for a 2. There's a haluva kick from Takeshita as well, who wanted an avalanche blue thunder, but Omega escaped, only for Takeshita to waffle him with a lariat out of the corner to the floor. There's a V-trigger to the head, but Omega didn't have the strength to go for the one-winged angel, as Takeshita nearly got one off his zone, but they then traded tombstone attempts with Takeshita hitting one. Held on and hit a bastard driver follow-up. Got a near fall off of it. Takeshita then hit a power drive knee, but Omega kicked out at 2. So Takeshita, well, he did it again and got the same thing, a 2. Omega, though, kicked out, and the crowd exploded to their feet this time. And I'm like, that was like 30 seconds ago he kicked out. What's the difference on this one? It's the same fucking thing. Anyways, it worked. So I can't really complain. Takeshita then hit a wind-up forearm, missed a raging fire as Omega hit a ripcord knee and stuck the pile driver in for a 2. Coming down towards the end of the match, repeated pump knees as Takeshita dared Omega for more, but blocked a shot with some home run forearms. But Omega was there with a V-trigger and a poison Rana. Callis once again left commentary as Omega hit another V-trigger, but had a tug of war with Callis over Takeshita. The delay allowed Omega and Takeshita to scrap and counter each other's finishers until Omega finally just got a crucifix flash pin out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So Omega caught him, didn't hit him with the one-winged angel, which is interesting. And there we go. So I'm interested as why they didn't use the finisher. He didn't hit him with the one-winged angel. The only time he tried it earlier, he couldn't do it. So are we to say Kenny is too weak and that can no longer be his finish? I don't know. Very interesting choice here with just the crucifix. Grab him, flip him, 1, 2, 3. I thought that was a very, I don't know if it's like a telling thing of, hey, one-winged angel no more, or if it was just hey, time. You got like 30 seconds, go to the finish. And they didn't have time to set up for the one-winged angel. So, I don't know. But that was one of those things that stuck in my head like, ooh, why'd they do it like that? That's interesting. Because you mean Kenny's first big win back as far as winning a title. And you would think, do the move. No one kicks out of that. We know it's the finish. Bada bing, bada boom. But it wasn't. So maybe they're saving that for later when he has another match with Takeshita and he needs to really, really beat him. I don't know. Post-match, Takeshita and Callis went to the back. Omega was left standing tall with the title. And he got a bunch of pyro. Then we have the cage match. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. And Callis just comes right back on commentary. And I can't remember who it was. Maybe even Taz. Hey, Callis, if you're just coming back on commentary for this next match, why did you even leave? And Don's like, well, got another guy in this match. I had to go in the back and give him a pep talk before he came out real fast. That's why. And I was like, Don always being the reasonable one. When commentary tries to, poke jokes at something, Don's always out here going, this ain't a fuck up. This ain't, I should have stayed out here. There was a reason I went to the back, and here's that reason. And that reason's going to make sense. Because I know the same thing. I'm like, well, Don's just back out. Why'd you even leave? But then he made sense. I had to go make sure Fletcher was ready and pump him up for a second before he came out. Because there was like no time between this. Kenny got his pyro. They said, hey, next up is the cage match. They played the little 2-minute video. Boom. They were out already. So it's like, okay. Don made something make sense. Fletcher scaled the cage and stood at the top while he waited for Ospreay to come out. Who got a new entrance. I don't know if it's going to be his entrance every time or if it's just for the pay-per-view. But he got a cool little abstract video thing playing. Sounded like, I want to say like Galaga. But gunshots, you know? Maybe it was asteroids. And you just hear, on another level. On another level. On another level. Over and over. And I'm like, okay, just play the real thing. Bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, 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 or however it goes. Something like that. I don't know. Both men then stared each other down from across the top of the cage as Ospreay climbed up as well. Cool looking visual. And then a pretty great visual. He slowly climbed down. The bell rings and they're ready to go. Just boom, right at it. Like I said, this match went almost 30 minutes. And it did not need to go this long. Snapper and runner from Ospreay, who realized he didn't have enough room, that is, to hit the PWU Cheerio. So he wrenched at the fingers of Fletcher in the cage. Ospreay tried a handspring. The cage didn't allow him to kind of spring and clutch the ankle as Fletcher attacked. It was a Stun Dog Millionaire response from Ospreay, who wanted an Oz Cutter, but was caught and darted into the cage. Already, Ospreay's bleeding. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, him sitting here going, little blood is okay. Like, if he just busts himself open the hard way from the side of the cage, fine, whatever. But then he's just drenching later. I don't know. Like, he's bleeding. Fletcher attacks, and he's on the forehead, just like trying to make it bleed more and more and more. And I'm just like, oh, we already saw so much blood earlier. We don't need it. It doesn't matter. And like, commentary's trying to play it up. Oh my God, he's bleeding. And how blood, I don't know. Anyways. Where was I? Fletcher drove Ospreay's head into the cage before licking it. And Callis loved this on commentary. I'm like, what are we fucking doing here? Really? We're licking the other person's blood. Hangman's drinking it and you're licking it. That was the only time he kind of licked it. So I'm like, yeah. Ospreay answered quickly. I think there was a you sick fuck chant or something, however it goes. But Ospreay answered quickly, scaling the ropes with a whip attempt and hit a flying forearm before hitting a standing sky twister press for a 2. Ospreay fired off so many hard chops that Fletcher's chest started bleeding as he signaled he wanted to go for the hidden blade, but Fletcher got a boot up and half and half suplex to reset things in the middle of the ring. Fletcher then ripped away at a buckle pad, but Ospreay dodged, having his head rammed right into it. Fletcher then sent him into it anyways, hitting a charging boot before wanting his top rope brainbuster, but Ospreay escaped. There's a cheeky Nando's kick against the exposed buckle, and it catapulted Fletcher into the cage, busting him open as well. So both bleeding big. Ospreay took too long climbing the ropes and got crotched as both follow up with Ospreay's dive onto Fletcher, and then there was repeated shots in the corner. There's a leap of faith connected by Ospreay for a near fall. Fletcher avoided a Stormbreaker, crotched Ospreay in the ropes before hitting a massive Liger Bomb for a 2 of his own. Both men are exhausted at this point as Fletcher tried off Kawada kicks, but was too busy licking the blood off of his hand. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Ospreay then rose to his feet. Kawada kicks from Ospreay, who returned the favor, licking his hand as both trade Kawada kicks, this time until Ospreay tried to go for the hidden blade, but Fletcher hit a thrust kick. Wild series of counters led to Fletcher wanting another Liger Bomb, but Ospreay popped into a snap DDT. Fletcher then spun out of a Stormbreaker and spiked Ospreay with the Brainbuster. At this point, I'm like, all right, this is going good. Probably going to the finish here. We're getting close. I can see it. They're both exhausted. They're both bleeding really bad. Like, okay, you're peaking. And then all of a sudden, here comes Mark Davis. And I go, no, who's going to help Ospreay? Nobody. Because I thought Davis was going to come down. He's got this bag, so I thought he was going to try to slide something in through the cage or throw it over or something, and someone was going to come stop. Nope. Ospreay ain't got no friends. Ospreay's got no friends. Mark Davis comes down, marches down the ramp, up the stairs, goes to the bag, grabs the bolt cutters. He's trying to get the thing on there, like, ching, and the ref's just looking at him going, I see you. Hey, what's up, Mark? Hello. What's up? You gonna get in the cage? Cool. Whatever. Like, really? Really? Not even gonna try and stop him? He gets the door open. Ospreay pulls the door shut. But it was a sucker. It was to sucker Davis in to try and get in. And then he smashed the door in Davis's face. The bag Davis brought also had a barbed wire bat in it as Ospreay pulled that into the ring. Ospreay wound up and leveled Fletcher in the ribs before raking it across his face. Ospreay then let out a bang bang for Cactus Jack. Like, what do you think you are? Chelsea Green cosplaying Cactus Jack? No, she's Cactus Chelsea. You ain't no Cactus Will. Fletcher then begged off and tried putting on a United Empire armband, going, look, we're friends. And Ospreay rips it off or flips him off. Went for a home run shot, but Fletcher hit a diving low blow. Fletcher then wiped the blood from his face with the armband, shoving it into Ospreay's mouth. And I'm like, again, what the fuck are we doing putting blood, the other person's blood, in your mouth and your opponent's mouth? And this is the fucking dumbest thing. I'm surprised none of these guys that do this shit ever come back like hepatitis or something, or just, it's a fucking dumb. Fletcher then got the bat, missed a wild shot, and Ospreay took his head off with a hidden blade, followed by a Stormbreaker, goes for the pin, and then there's Mark Davis in the ring, bleeding and helping goddamn Fletcher. And commentary's over here like, why is Mark Davis just doing this so willingly? And then Don's like, you ever heard of a contract? I own him. And I'm like, oh my God. I have to hear about this fucking contract and you own him one more time. It's the dumbest fucking thing in wrestling. Remember when Matt Hardy owned Ethan Page? What happened there? Oh, Ethan Page left and went to WWE because of this stupid ass bullshit. But Davis held up Fletcher, who screamed at Ospreay. Aussie Open then wanted Coriolis, but Ospreay flipped up into a poison rana on Fletcher and punched a chair in the face of Davis. They got Davis out of the ring before relocking the cage door. Ospreay scaled the side of the cage, leapt off with a super Os cutter, and got a 2 off of it. Ospreay wrapped barbed wire around his arm as Fletcher tried escaping the cage, climbing up, but Fletcher all of a sudden had a screwdriver and jabbed it in the forehead of Will Ospreay. Then it had blood on it, so he licked the blood off, and I'm like, what? This match needs to end. It's at this point, I'm just like, I'm like barely paying attention. So like, this match has hit its peak, and it's gone over its peak, and it's gone way too long now. It's just gone way too fucking long. Osprei's bleeding even more. Fletcher hit him in the ribs, and then hit him in the head. Ospreay ducked a corner shot. Wanted to go for a Styles Clash, but Fletcher rolled through into a brainbuster. Fletcher then set up a chair, and similar to last Wednesday, hit a brainbuster on it. But Ospreay kicked out yet again. I'm like, oh my God, let's go to the fucking finish. You can even tell the crowd is up, but there's like not as up as they were 3-4 minutes ago. Fletcher brought out a bag of thumbtacks and wanted another brainbuster, but countered into a Styles Clash on them, only for Fletcher to somehow kick out at 2. Fletcher escaped a hidden blade by scaling to the top of the cage with Ospreay in tow, with the screwdriver in his mouth. The battle at the top over the screwdriver until Ospreay connected with a shot right to the head. They then got in position. Crowd got to their feet because they knew they were jumping off this cage, and Ospreay hit a big, huge Spanish fly to the mat below. I'm like, oh my God, they're dead. Finish, finish, finish. That's your cue. Like, that's you super peaked now. You ain't going to do anything more. And so they do eventually go to the finish, but they dragged it out and dragged it out. So they hit this big, huge Spanish fly. And the one thing I didn't like about this is they barely sold the moment. The moment was cool. Great move off the top. But Will's literally already up. Fletcher's slowly getting up, and he's yelling at Will, I hate you. I fucking hate you. I hate you. I fucking hate you. And then Will hits him with a huge hidden blade. Ospreay picked him up. Tiger Driver 91. Finally put Fletcher away and picked up the victory. I'm like, okay, you peaked way too many times in this match. And then you do that big, crazy ass move off the top, and neither barely sell it. Neither barely sell it. I'm like, what are we doing? Cage matches in AEW mean jack shit. How many times have they killed the cage match gimmick of someone coming in or jumping off the top and we're just fine right after? So, I thought it was a really well worked match for the most part, but there was too many, at least for me, and this is just my opinion. You guys could say I'm stupid, wrong, dumb, but for me, I thought there was just a little too many negatives for me to fully enjoy the match. So, yeah, there was just way too much of you peaked way too many times. You hit the big spot where I'm like, oh, we're going home. We're going, and then no, something else happens. And then you got to do something else. And you got to do something else. And then all the blood stuff, licking each other's blood and lick the blood off yourself and the blood. And it was just way too much for me. And again, it's just my opinion. Maybe you like that. Maybe you're a sicko, as they call them in wrestling nowadays. Maybe you're one of these sickos that like that kind of crazy ass shit. But it's just not for me. I never got into CZW. Joining Shivani is ringside with Ash Avidson. Oh my God, this spot. Mars Lewis, Kelly Berglund, who has fallen in love with pro wrestling. She did heels, and now she was in Queen of the Ring. So talking about the movie, I'm talking with the director and the writer. Talking about the women's title match from earlier in the night with Toni Storm and Mariah May. And he goes, but we're really here about this movie, and let's hear from some of the women that were in the movie, right? And this, goddamn, Damara Lewis says, and I quote, one thing I learned about pro wrestlers, y'all know you're going to win before anybody else does. So thank you for teaching me that. I said, no, she did not. No, she did not just say that. The one thing she learned about pro wrestling is that they learn the finish beforehand. That they know who's going to win and lose. What? On a fucking pay-per-view, she said, and I'm going to read this again. One thing I learned about pro wrestlers, y'all know you're going to win before anybody else does. So thank you for teaching me that. She made this whole fucking movie. And the one takeaway she had was, it's scripted. It's pre-planned out. You know who's winning before you go to the ring. You gotta be goddamn fucking kidding me. And Kelly Berglund's just standing there looking at her like, oh, you did not just say that. And they go to Kelly Berglund and she's like, well, and I'm like, she's flustered by that line. She's flustered by what was just said. Because this woman knows pro wrestling. She did 2 seasons of heels. She worked a match with goddamn AJ Lee. Not many people could say that nowadays. So, oh my God. What the fuck? So wild, so crazy. I just can't even wrap my mind around it. You make a movie about pro wrestling, the one thing you learn is it's scripted and predetermined. You didn't know that before? I hate to use the term, but you didn't know it was fake? You didn't know it was fake, lady? God damn. I thought everybody in the world knew wrestling was fake. Or at least anyone over the age of 16. Anyways, go to our main event. My hand's on my head because this fucking sucked from start to finish. Like, from the time this match started to the time they're showing off the air, the fucking worst thing I've seen in a main event in I don't know how long. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't been this bored and this, like, get this fucking match done with a main event match probably since WrestleMania, the last time they were in New Orleans. Brock and Roman. Where people were leaving early because they were so bored with the match. Copeland comes out. They sing a song, on this day, I see clearly, come to life, on a change. And they keep going. Anyways, I don't know all the words. Jim Ross rejoins commentary for the main event match as Moxley walks out all alone, briefcase in hand, and looking kind of lost because he doesn't have anybody with him. Match starts off with slugfest as both start trading stiff forearms for over a minute. Cope then escapes with a pile driver, or escapes a pile driver. Moxley then was sent to the floor as Cope hit a baseball slide and a top rope dive to follow. They continue their little brawl around ringside as Moxley shoved him back first into the post and drove him shoulder first into it as well. Moxley then came over to Jim Ross and said that he saw the beginning of Cope's career. Tonight, we'll see how it ends. As Moxley repeatedly slammed Cope's head against the barricade, which I thought that was a really nice little touch there. It's like, hey, you were there on commentary when he had his first match, like first big match, because he actually had matches like before WWE. Anyways, like when you got on TV, national exposure, you were there for the first one. Now you're going to be here for the last one. Moxley kept targeting the bad neck back inside the ring as Cope tried fighting back, but kept getting flattened. It was already flattened with a cutter. Cope managed an impaler as we get a superplex spot for a reset. See Hooks, Mojo, and Shibata watching from the luxury suite. And I'm like, what the fuck are they watching for? And commentary goes, you know, the Death Riders, they got the Trios titles. Maybe they want to go for the Trios titles. And I'm like, well, the Trios champions aren't even out there. What the fuck is this all about? This made no sense. No sense at all. So finally strung together offense with a series of lariats and an edge-o-matic that got a near fall before sinking in a grindhouse. But Moxley got to the ropes. Moxley got a rope break. Mox then was on the apron. Cope hit a spear through the ropes to the outside. Moxley reversed a whip into the steps and told the camera he's got to go. He's going to break Cope's neck and expose the padding on the floor. That he really never really used. I mean, he wanted to go for a pile driver on it, but Cope hit a backdrop on the floor. Cope then charged for a spear, but he hit a boot and a curb stomp, a fucking shitty looking curb stomp with no power behind it. Weak. You may need to go talk to your friend Kobe and say, teach me how to do a curb stomp, Kobe Lopez. But don't fuck it up and almost kill Roman Reigns. Cope escaped a bulldog choke inside the ring, but not a pile driver, which connected and only got a 2 off of it. Bulldog choke applied as Cope desperately fought for the ropes. Referee Bryce Remberg then scolded Moxley for not breaking in time and really got in his face. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't break in time, call for the fucking DQ, ref. You're counting for a reason. 2, 3, 4, 5, break it. And he just doesn't break it, so you keep yelling at him. I'm like, what? What's the use of counting if you're not going to do anything about it? Like, come on. Fucking stupid ass refs. It's the only time that Moxley and the ref go at it either. So the referee, again, like I said, scolded him for not breaking and really got in his face as Moxley then went to grab a chair. Moxley then jumped back in the ring and Bryce took the chair. He's like, you can't do it, Mox. No, Mox, no, Mox. So he takes the chair and he goes to throw it out of the ring as Cope got a roll up, but it was missed. Moxley then sent Cope crashing into the referee, who took a gnarly, nasty looking dive to the outside. Moxley then sent Cope crashing into Bryce Remsburg. And then Cope went, he then dropped Cope with a paradigm shift. Also didn't look all that good. Moxley then grabbed 2 chairs. And he's got him laying here for the concerto, right? And he lifts up the chair and he's like, measure. And I'm like, okay, whose music's about to hit? And he's just waiting for the cue to be distracted by music. And he's like, measure. I'm not going to hit it yet. Measure. And I'm like, come on, hit the fucking concerto. And then Cope eventually kicks the chair in his face. And I'm like, yeah, this match fucking sucks. He could have hit him 4 times. So Moxley falls over. They both get to their feet, only to collide in the double clothesline spot when all of a sudden the crowd starts stirring. And commentary's like, something's happening. Is there something in the crowd? What's going on? So then the camera cuts. Oh, it's Wheeler Yuta coming down the aisle. And I'm like, okay. Kill. So Yuta jumps in the ring. Again, refs. Bryce is dead on the outside. He's just laying there face down, taking a nap. He runs in, and he looks conflicted for a second before taking out Cope with the Busaku knee. Commentary basically says that he is a servant to Moxley, works for and under Moxley, and does whatever he says, basically. Yuta then grabbed the briefcase and gave it to Mox, but out would come Switchblade Jay White, who hits the ring to take out Yuta. White then got the briefcase, swung for Moxley, but waffled Cope before brawling with Yuta to the back. Moxley then goes to make the cover. Referee had recovered at this time. Cope kicks out. I can't remember if this is the one. Yes, so the referee's counting 1, 2, and then Cope barely gets the arm up. But I'm like, fucking, I counted to 66. So Cope kicks out. Moxley starts yelling at the referee again, long enough for Cope to hit him with the spear. 1, 2. No. Cope then connects with another spear, then a third spear. Bryce Weinberger is about to go for the count, but was pulled out of the ring by a hooded figure. He pulls off the hood, and it's, well, Christian Cage, who then smacks Cope in the head with the contract, the case that it's in. And then looks at the ref and goes, I'm ready. I want to use it. So he signs the contract right there. And Justin Robertson tells us, Christian Cage is cashing in his contract. This match is now a triple threat. And commentary immediately goes, triple threat? That means no disqualification. Oh my God. And literally it goes like 45, 60 seconds. Cope hits a spear. Cage hits a spear on Cope, but only gets 2 off of it. Cage then connected on a kill switch, but Moxley flew in and grabs him for a bulldog choke. Cage then in this choke, he's like, puts his hand on Moxley. So the ref's like, I guess that's a pin. 1, 2. Fucking Moxley puts his hand on Cope. The ref starts counting 1, 2. Moxley looks over like, what the fuck are you counting for? And he pulls Cope or Cage. Cage, Cope, Mox, Cope, Cage, Cope. I can't get these fucking names straight. So Moxley pulls him, ranks the bulldog choke in even more. The ref's like, oh my God. He's looking around, looks down at Cage, looks around a little more. Oh my God, he's out. Go for the belt. Moxley wins. He choked him out. And that was it. And the fans, boo. Fans are just booing and booing and booing. So here's what happened. Fucking Cope loses, but he doesn't take the pin or anything. Cage, waste of the contract. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This was the first guy to ever have one of these in AEW. Contract like this. I can't remember anybody else in AEW having one of these. Because I saw somebody go, this is a waste of the contract this time. And I'm like, this time? When was there another time? I don't remember anybody ever having this. But yeah, fans did not like this. And so Moxley's just like, oh, I finally got him. And he jumps the crowd, goes to walk off. And he goes to go to the back, and boom, there's Nana. Nana's like, well, buddy. Security all of a sudden runs out, get between the two. And then all of a sudden, the camera looks up. And I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like, Moxley's just still looking at Nana. And then eventually, Swerve dives off onto Moxley in the pile. Fucking feet right in Moxley's face. Camera's like this. Looking up. And also you hear, Swerve's house. Swerve's music starts just randomly ass playing. And the show goes off the air. What the fuck was all of this? This sucked. The match sucked. Because other than the first like 2 minutes, it was just Moxley beating Cope's ass over and over. And the Cope barely kicking out. You think this is a John Cena WrestleMania match where all the fucking kickouts are going to get a bigger pop every time. But I'll tell you right now, 90% of this match, this crowd was fucking sleeping. And then like Cope will hit that spear through the ropes. Oh! And then sleeping. And then like one person will hit one thing. They hit like the super pull. Oh! Sleeping. So yeah, this fucking sucked. This match, this main event, the angle afterwards barely got an illicit reaction. And Swerve did state, I don't know when it happened, whether it was in the brawl here or in the match with Ricochet. Swerve did state, he goes to the back for the press conference. He goes, I just want to let you guys know, I got a ruptured eardrum, so this side's no good. I can only hear out of this side. So Swerve was injured tonight, but it's like he'll be fine. Ruptured eardrum. Wrestlers fight with those all the time, and they heal pretty quickly for the most part. But yeah, this sucked. The whole main event and the angle afterwards sucked. You got WWE a week ago with a great main event. Granted, it's Elimination Chamber compared to a singles match, into one of the greatest angles of all time. 1 week later, AEW answers back with Cope versus Moxley, where just the old guy's getting his ass beat, and then Swerve dives on the champ afterwards. Come on. And that's why you're number 2. That's why you're number 2, Tony Khan. Like, I get it. You don't got The Rock or a John Cena or a Cody anymore. You could have done something. Not this match. The fucking just drizzling shits of a match. Again, like I said, I don't think I've seen a main event that has been shit on this much since 2018 Mania. The last time they were in New Orleans. So, yeah. Crazy. Well, let's get the poll going here on Twitch really fast. What did you think of AEW Revolution? I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. Well, John, you're getting timed out for being a troll in the chat. Who's gonna fucking come into a AEW Revolution pay-per-view recap stream and say, "Did you watch the show?" Fuck off. No, I'm recapping a show that I didn't watch at all, you stupid son of a bitch. As far as the polls do go, though. Refresh all of these really quickly. So as far as the threads poll does go, 63% like the show, 16%, 63% like the show, 21% didn't like the show, and 16% thought it was just all right. That's the community poll. I'm reading these out of order. That was the community poll. Threads poll, 81% liked it, 14% thought it was just all right, and 5% didn't like it. As far as the Twitter poll, 38% didn't like the show, 32% thought it was just all right, and 29% didn't like it. As far as the live poll does go, 65% liked the show, 18% thought it was just all right, and 17% didn't like it. And with a little bit of time we had here, I should really remember to get these polls going before I read the main event stuff and recap that. But because Twitch only lets you do 10 minutes, and we've gone an hour and a half. And we have more people now than when we started, so it's like, yeah. Anyways, everybody that voted liked the show. But with that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. With that, I will be back live tomorrow night following Monday Night Raw. So have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.